on the race for the White House. Election results still coming in. Of course, that's normal process as count millions of mail-in ballots. This election could drag out more because of the requests for recounts as well. The Trump campaign already requesting a recount in Wisconsin after that state was called for Joe Biden. Right now, Nevada leaning blue. Good evening. I'm John Bachman.
I'm Tanika Hughes, and here's a look at the current Electoral College votes based on information from the Associated Press. That's who we're using for our source of information. Now, if Biden were to win Nevada, then that's where he's having a slight lead. That would add the last 6 votes needed to reach the required 270. So Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, these states are all leaning toward Trump at the moment. So if he wins these states, that would add 54 electoral votes to his current total, giving him 268 total votes in the Electoral College. And that means the presidency could potentially be decided by just 2 electoral votes. So the last time the election was that close in the Electoral College was in 1960, and that's when John F. Kennedy defeated Richard Nixon, and at that time it was by 84 electoral votes.
Biden is pulling out front with the popular vote as well. You can see with 91% of precincts reporting, Biden has 71 million votes to 68 million for President Trump. President Trump and his campaign already challenging election results. He says he's prepared to take it all the way to the Supreme Court today. Biden spoke to his supporters after the race in Wisconsin was called for him.
We, the people, will not be silenced. We, the people, will not be bullied. We, the people, will not surrender. My friends, I'm confident we'll emerge victorious, but this will not be my victory alone or our victory alone. It'll be a victory for the American people, for our democracy, for America.
President Trump has been tweeting since last night. Many of his tweets have actually been flagged by Twitter for misinformation. A live look at the White House there on your left. He's been watching the results come in since last night. On your right, a picture of one of his tweets. This morning he tweeted, quote, "I was leading in many key states, then one by one they started to magically disappear as surprise ballot dumps were counted. There is no proof of any mail-in ballot fraud, which is why the tweet was flagged."
One race the president is counting on is in Georgia. That state has the 9th largest electorate in the country. And right now, President Trump is ahead by, looks like 100,000 votes possibly. Action News Jax is going to be with you until every vote is counted. We're already seeing some counties in Georgia, at least one in the Savannah area, that might not even finish counting tonight. So this could go another day for Georgia. Let's start our live team coverage with Action News Jax Ben Becker, who reports that experts say that Trump would have to win Georgia for a shot at the presidency again.
Georgia is on the president's mind as he nurses a slim lead as he tries to win this state. Georgia voters went to the polls in record numbers of this election, with over 4 million votes counted. But the results for president are still fuzzy in the Peach State.
Does the president have to win Georgia to win this election? Yes.
Kevin Wagner is a professor at Florida Atlantic University and a member of the school's polling initiative.
There's no easy place for him to make up those electoral college votes if he doesn't have Georgia. If Joe Biden wins Georgia, it's going to mean that he probably doesn't need Pennsylvania.
The state will audit all of its machines after all the votes are counted, following reports of a few problems. Harrison Shee voted for President Trump.
What's your level of concern as a Trump supporter right now?
Hard to put a number on it, but I would say that it is... level of concern has gone up from last night, let's put it that way.
Jack Breslin just turned 18 and voted for the first time. He chose Biden.
It felt good to have, my voice heard.
As for Wagner,
he can make a pretty good argument that Georgia is much more of a battleground state now than Florida is.
As for our local Georgia counties, they all broke hard for Donald Trump, anywhere from 61% here in Glynn County to 90%. Reporting from Glynn County, Ben Becker, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
And we are now getting closer to knowing the results out of DeKalb County. Right now, thousands of absentee ballots there are being verified and counted. Joining us now is Audrey Washington with our sister station in Atlanta, live at the Voter Registration and Elections Office in DeKalb County. And Audrey, you got to look inside at how the whole process works.
I did. Right now, as you said, I'm live here in DeKalb County in Georgia. This is where we are now getting closer to knowing exactly how this election is panning out for this county. First, I want to show you what it looks like inside there behind me. Now, reporters are actually not allowed to speak in the room where the ballots are being processed, so I have to stand here while my photographer, Mikey Fuller, makes his way inside. Take a look, guys. That's where thousands of absentee ballots are being verified and tabulated as we speak. Here at the voter registration and election office in Decatur, officials told me staff successfully tabulated 242,929 in-person advance and election day votes. Wednesday morning, about 48,000 absentee votes remain. That number, LS check, is around 20,000 or less. As for when all the ballots will be tabulated and certified, the officials expect the process of all the remaining ballots to be processed, that will happen later on tonight or as late as tomorrow morning, but that expected time could change. So right now, this is just kind of a wait and see. We're trying to see exactly how things will pan out. Right now, we are live here in DeKalb County, Georgia. I'll send it back over to you guys.
In 2016, Trump beat Hillary Clinton in Georgia by 211,000 votes. Right now, margin is much smaller than that. That's the picture for the other states as well. Too close to call, many of them. Let's bring in Action News Jax Washington correspondent Blair Miller. Blair, two big moves this afternoon, Wisconsin and then Michigan.
And, John, as we've discussed here this afternoon, those projections going to Joe Biden here this afternoon. And what's been happening today leading up to those moments, whether it's been in Wisconsin or some of these other states where the race really has been too close to call up to this point, is simply the counting of these votes. The focus still tonight on Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. We're expecting to get some updates on Georgia and Arizona tonight, so we'll have to watch that. But at this point, Joe Biden seems to have the advantage. His team knows that because he has more paths to victory. The president's path, it seems right now, is a bit more focused. There just may be one path for him to get toward re-election. I've been talking with both these campaigns all day long, and they both are saying they won and they have the advantage. And it seems like both of them just trying to put out their own spin on what Americans woke up to this morning, still digesting what happened last night. It's almost been busier today than it was last night. John?
Well, now, as expected, we are seeing some legal challenges. Where do we stand on that?
John, last night we said how the Trump campaign was positioning itself to take legal action in some of these battleground states, and now we're seeing the Trump campaign follow through on that. First today in Wisconsin, where the Trump campaign has officially filed for a recount. They'll likely get it. They're citing irregularities in several counties and questioning the validity of the results. And then this afternoon, the Trump campaign filed lawsuits in Michigan, followed by in Pennsylvania, to stop counting ballots. That's until the campaign can get access to observe the opening of ballots. The president just addressed this in a tweet moments ago talking about this. The legal cases should move quickly because these states are actively counting ballots right now. John?
Blair, thank you very much. More to come, obviously, in this race for several days. Blair Miller live in Washington.
Yeah, and John, another race being watched closely is in Pennsylvania, and right now President Trump leading with 52% of the vote to 47% for Joe Biden, but they're counting those mail-in ballots, and the president is suing to try to stop those ballots from being counted there in Pennsylvania until his campaign is able to watch them be counted. And we send things now over to Amy Hudak with our sister station in Harrisburg. The state law there says that any ballots received by Thursday will be counted regardless of when it's postmarked.
Within the last couple of hours, President Donald Trump has sued the state of Pennsylvania, claiming a lack of transparency and asking for votes that are being counted to stop. He's also claimed that the Secretary of the Commonwealth has created some sort of a back door for Joe Biden to win the state. We expect Pennsylvania's governor and the Secretary of the Commonwealth to discuss this lawsuit when they hold a press conference within the next several minutes. As of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the Keystone State's 20 electoral votes are still undecided. More than 40% of the state's 2.5 to 3 million mail-in ballots are yet to be counted. That includes hundreds of thousands of mail-in ballots still being counted in dense urban counties like Philadelphia and Allegheny, counties that are historically blue. There are also 7 rural, traditionally red counties that didn't even begin counting ballots until this morning, and several additional counties in the state that have counted 0 mail-in ballots so far. Still a lot to be determined in the next several hours and several days. The governor of Pennsylvania pleading for patience. In Harrisburg, Amy Hudak, back to you.
Votes in Duval County still being counted. A live look at City Hall in downtown Jacksonville, where a pre-planned protest underway. Planned before the results were announced. Duval was one of the few Florida counties to flip blue for the presidential election. Duval County Supervisor of Elections sifting through more than 2,300 ballots still. There's also nearly 1,000 provisional ballots left to count. That means a voter showed up to the polls without the proper ID. Voters have until 5 o'clock tomorrow to show proper ID.
We review it to make sure that this person gets a right to vote if they are registered, so we triple check our records, or are rejected then are accepted. And but this is kind of an unusual situation that we're in.
Ballots in Duval have been counted since October 20th. The office received about 1,300 late mail-in ballots that will be counted. Could be days before an official result. Local Supervisor of Elections have until Saturday to report unofficial numbers to the state.
Join us tonight on CBS 47 for special coverage of the election results. CBS News 2020 America Decides. Still counting. It starts at 10 o'clock. And the results will be scrolling at the bottom of your screen every 15 minutes when we're on air. You can always get up-to-the-minute election results on actionnewsjax.com and inside the mobile app.
From the Action News Jax, first to the Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burris as we track what's left of Ada now over Central America, soon to emerge back off to the north and east, and has implications then for our own weather right here at home in your First Alert forecast.
A local district attorney under investigation by the FBI ousted from office. I look at Jackie Johnson's controversial history.